What is up, people? It is day 21. This is the month of completion. Come on in tonight. Welcome, day 21. Blessings to all of you. You all are in here tonight already. Thank you. Do us a favor as you are coming in. If you're watching the replay, just let us know you're watching the replay. Type in replay. If you're live in color tonight, go ahead and share this on all of your social media platforms. And like we say, give us tag five, text five, tell five people. Let somebody know that we are on tonight. This is like month of completion, Sunday night prayer, all in one. It's going to be a blessed time tonight. This is going to be good. And we're going to help tonight to really give you a boost. We're coming up to the final stretch in this month of completion. And tonight we're gonna give you some adrenaline, give you a boost, give you some information to really help you finish strong. For some of you that have been struggling with keeping up this month, struggling with staying on course, struggling with keeping the promise you made to yourself, struggling with finishing. Tonight, we're going to answer some questions for you, help you get out of your head and finish strong, and then really just keep this momentum. So, to all of you who have spoken tonight, I see you. Sharon, she said shared. That's what's up. Santrina, Regina, blessings to you. Baranis, blessings. Good evening, everyone. Lisa, I see you. Kelly Gates, good evening, my sister Lahisha. Tamira, blessings to all of you. Again, do us a favor. Do you not know that, so I look back sometime at these videos and I look at like the numbers, the shares, the likes. Do you know that very few people like really share or tag, but a lot of people come on consistently. Listen, if you're one of those people tonight, you say, I listen, I learn, it blesses me, but I don't share. I don't tag anyone. Tag someone tonight. We're on Facebook tonight. We're on YouTube tonight. Tag someone tonight. Text, tell someone, share this out and be a blessing to someone. My brother, my forever brother, and my forever friend, Fred Hunter, is in the house tonight. Blessings to you, sir. I love you, your family. Much love. Nanette, blessings to you. Alfreda, where is Reynando? You on here tonight? Blessings. Good evening. Again, Pastor Doris. Blessings to all of you. Denise, Letitia, shared. Let me just thank some of you all. Acknowledge some of you. You shared. Thank you so much, woman of God. Blessings to you. Lisa Howard, thank you for tagging someone. What's up, family? Good evening to all of you. Again, blessings. I listen and I share. All right, Nanette, blessings to you. Thank you. Dallas Fort Worth connection. What is up? Blessings to you. Carmen Mills just tagged the whole gang of people. It looks like she tagged 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 people. My my dear friend and sister, my road dog. Um, just this girl is just a beast in ministry. Tamira, thank you. Shared. Stephanie shared. Listen, all of you. Angela Morris, that's what's up. That's how we do. Share it to 5 friends. Herlene. All right, let's do this tonight. Let's do this tonight. Again, month of completion, day 21. If this month has been blessing you, pump some hearts. Let me know, like, man, this has been blessing me this month. I have been on it. I have been trying. I have been doing my best, and I am still here for it. What's up to my neighbor, Dana, Reverend Dana? I can call her Reverend now, Reverend Dana. All right, listen, I have a special guest tonight, and I'm going to bring him in. He is a beloved friend, brother, trusted confidant. I love him. his wife, his family, son, Avery. I just love this brother. He is going to come tonight and really, really bless us. He is a licensed therapist. And sometimes the issues that we have with finishing are heart issues and mental issues, are issues in our mind. And so I just asked him to come on tonight and just let the Lord use him, and then we'll answer some questions at the end. But you all do me a favor tonight and give it up for my friend and my brother, the therapist.
What's going on, brother?
James Perkins. What's up, my brother?
Man, I'm like always honored to be here, man. So this is gonna be fun tonight.
I think you are a regular every year, month of completion. So
right,
we have to get your wife on. You know, his wife has.
Yes.
Yeah, she has some things to say to help us as well. We gotta figure that out. Get your wife on here one time.
Let's do it.
Perhaps this year, but if not, very, very soon. So this man. So here's what I want to do. You all listen. Get something to write with. If you have questions, remember your questions or put your questions. We'll try to capture your questions because at the end, we'll spend some time answering questions. And I want to pray just a little bit tonight. This is still Sunday night prayer, month of completion. And so here's what I asked James to talk about. I said, brother, so many, he taught me this. So many times what hinders people from finishing whatever, from going forward in life, for being productive, is the stories that we tell ourselves. And he's going to get into this, but he said the humans are the only species in God's creation that have the ability to change their story. And so tonight we are going to talk about the stories that you tell yourself, maybe the imposter syndrome, the shame that goes with that, and like get you out of your own head. And so without any further ado, I want to give him as much time as he wants tonight to give you all welcome, my friend and my brother, James Perkins. Man, I'm going to turn it over to you. I'll be backstage listening, taking notes.
Let's do it. Thank you guys for joining us tonight, man. I'm like really honored to be here with my good brother, Minister Elder C. Terrell Wheat. As he was speaking about my wife earlier, I really owe a lot of this moment to her. She'd had good brothers around her for as long as I can remember, and we connected. Myself, Terrell, Reverend Marshall, immediately had a kindred connection when my wife introduced us. Man, I guess this will be about 12 years ago, and have been locked and loaded ever since. So I'm really grateful that you invited me to be here tonight to talk about something that is a really, really passionate subject of mine, which is the power of story. So as Minister Terrell mentioned, I'm a licensed therapist here in the state of North Carolina, and I have the privilege of holding space for a variety of different people from all walks of life, and helping them navigate their stories, how they show up in their stories, who are their main characters in their stories, how they can change their story. And so that's what I want to talk with you about tonight is the power of your story. Pastor Wheat already stole my thunder already by sharing with you the first point I want to share, which is out of all the creatures on the face of the human earth, humans are the only ones with the capacity for storytelling. What does that mean? Every other species that we have that God has created, they act off of instinct. So you never catch a dog acting like an alligator. You never catch a cow acting like a pig. It goes against their nature. It goes against their nature because God has not wired them in that capacity. But we as humans, the pinnacle of God's creation, God created us with the capacity for storytelling, which means I want you to catch this point, that we can change our life by changing our story. That we can change our life by changing our story. Matter of fact, put that in chat. I can change my life by changing my story. I can change my life by changing my story. Now, many people use a lot of different definitions about what my story means. That can be kind of sometimes a nebulous term that we use. But for the purposes for tonight, I want to define what our story is, or our stories rather, as the sum collection of our experiences and the meanings that we have attached to them. So our story represents the sum collection of our experiences and the meanings that we have attached to them. It's really important to understand. There's a brother by the name of Roger Bannister. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Roger Bannister. Roger Bannister in 1954, at this present time in 1954, there had never been anyone who had run a mile in under 4 minutes. There had never been anybody on the face of the earth that had ran a mile in under 4 minutes. It was, for the most part, people thought that it was impossible. Most people, including verified scientists, thought that it was impossible to run the mile in under 4 minutes. But a brother by the name of Roger Bannister in 1954 ran the mile in under 4 minutes. He ran the mile in under 4 minutes. What was so special about this is several months after running the mile in under 4 minutes, more people started to run the mile. More people started to run the mile under the 4 minutes. Now, up until this point, right, there had never been anybody who had run the mile in under 4 minutes. For the most people understood that, hey, it was humanly impossible. But when they saw Roger Bannister run the mile in under 4 minutes, what happened is a new narrative, a new story was created in people's minds that it was possible. I'm going somewhere with this. One of the things about the power of your sword you're going to have to understand is that there are people watching you. There are people watching your story right now to see how it unfolds, and they are watching to determine if something is possible in their life based off what they see going on in yours. Man, that's rich. That's rich. There are people watching your story, unbeknownst to you, watching your life to see how it unfolds as inspiration for if they can take a chance in their own life. This is why I say our stories have consequences. What we believe about who we are and what we believe about our stories has consequences. It's just not about us. It's just not about myself. It is about the people that are tied to me. Reverend Wheat, Pastor Wheat, said to us a while back in prayer that there is a people and a place assigned to us. There is a people and a place assigned to us. What that means is there are some people that are not going to be activated in their purpose until they hear something from you, from your voice, from your vocal cords, from you taking action in your story. Man, that's good. That's good. That there are people that are literally waiting on the cusp of a strategic action by hearing what you have to say, hearing what you have to offer, hearing what you have to bring to the world. So our stories, they have consequences. So let me back up. So how do our stories develop, right? People, say, hey, we say about the power story. Let me back up and tell you how these stories develop. Our stories develop, as you can imagine, very early on. So in our formative years, in our family of origin, or whatever group of people that we grew up with, is where these stories started to develop. we start to develop our stories about worthiness, about money, about success, about failure, about God. We start to develop these stories very early on in these formative years. And one of the things I like to say for all of us is that, none of us ever leaves our family of origin unscathed. We all leave our families of origin with blessings, or take from our family of origin blessings and burdens. And it's up to us to figure out which ones are which. I want you to hear that. All of us never leave our families of origin unscathed, but we take from our families of origin blessings and burdens, but it's up to us to figure out which ones are which. So as a result of us growing up in our formative years, let me take a drink of water here. I'm getting excited already. As a result of us growing up in our family of origin, there are stories that we developed during those formative years to help us make sense of our life as a child. So there are stories that we developed as a result of our interaction with our primary caregivers and people in our immediate family or extended family in these early years to help us make sense of our experience at that present moment. I'll talk about this in a couple of moments about how our brain is set up for productivity and efficiency. And so it wants to very quickly draw a conclusion to any experience that we have so that it doesn't take up conscious space in our mind. That can work to our benefit or it cannot. We'll talk about that in a moment. But as a child, your brain wants to draw a conclusion to the experiences that you're facing very quickly. The thing, though, is it doesn't care if the meaning that you attach to this experience empowers you. It just wants to create space for you to be able to move forward. So what does this mean? Oftentimes, what happens is we create a narrative or create a story that helps us to survive as a child, but doesn't help us to thrive as an adult. My God. The stories that we often tell ourselves as kids, as children, they help us to survive as a child, but they don't actually help us to thrive as an adult. So as we've been going through this month of completion, what you may not realize is that some of the stories that are holding you back are not stories that were created as a result of your adulthood, but they were stories that you created as a child to help you make sense of your experience. And so for some of us, we're going to have to go back and reattach a new meaning to the experiences that we have faced, because those meanings, those stories that we've attached to those experiences are not helping us to thrive. They may be helping us to survive, but they're not helping us to thrive. I love Dr. Darius Daniels. He says that we can either spend our life sinking, surviving, or thriving. That we can either spend our life sinking, surviving, or thriving. Now, if any of you are in this group tonight, I can guarantee you that most of us want to thrive. We just don't want to survive, but we want to thrive. We want to live God's best for our life. We want to live out the most authentic version of ourselves for who God has created us to be. And in order for us to do that, we are going to have to reframe the meanings that we've attached to some of our experiences. I'm already getting ahead of myself. I'm getting excited. I'm calm down, okay? All right. So you may be asking, all right, so how do we go about doing that? How do we go about reattaching new meanings to our experiences? The first thing to understand about this experience is that for the first 18 years of your life, I'm about to drop a real bomb for you. The first 18 years of your life, most of your values about who you are were being created for you, but not by you. Most of the values that you have about yourself from 1 to 18 were not created by you. They were being created for you. What does that mean? That most of what you, to a certain extent, know about yourself up until today was not created intentionally by you, but it was created for you. And depending on what type of family that you grew up in, what type of experiences that you grew up in, you can already be deducting right now what that means for you. So our beliefs about worthiness, about our worthiness, about what we deserve, those things were being created for us, but not by us. Our feelings about success, failure, what it means to actually follow God, money. That's a whole nother subject that, you know, we can get into, that God does not, he also wants us to pursue purpose, but he also does not want us to avoid profit. God is not anti-profit. He's against exploitation, but he's not against profit. That's a whole nother story for another different day. First thing, all right, so our values are being created for us, but not by us. Let me walk you through how that develops. So our brains are wired, again, for productivity and efficiency. Our brains are wired for productivity and efficiency. So whatever we say to ourselves in words, pictures, and images, our brain, the way God is wired, the way he's designed it, our brain pays attention to that. So I want you guys to put that down. Whatever we say to ourselves in words, pictures, and images, our brain pays attention to that information. And what it does is that it hardwires, or said this way, because we consistently say it to ourselves, our brain thinks that is important, that it is important. So it hardwires that information as a belief. So whatever we say to ourselves in words, pictures, and images, our brain hardwires that as a belief. You guys catching me here? Our brain hardwires that as a belief. Someone type belief for me in the chat. Belief. So when, after it's hardwired that information as a belief, what it then goes to do is look for supportive evidence to reinforce that belief. So if we have been saying to ourselves that I am not enough, that I don't have what it takes, that I'm not going to fulfill God's purpose for my life, that I am stuck, that I'm not going to get out of this situation, that it's not going to change, that I cannot do this. Our brain is paying attention to that information. It's paying attention to that information. Even the things that we don't say verbally out of our mouth, it is paying attention to what we are saying to ourselves in words, pictures, and images. This is why Proverbs declares that as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. This is what the scriptures are getting at. This is what the psalmist, the proverb is getting at, is that whatever we consistently think about will show up in our life. Whatever we are consistently thinking about will manifest itself in our life. And we will never be able to consciously, deliberately act out in a way that is inconsistent with the most predominant beliefs that we have about ourselves. I'm going to say that again. It's probably a mouthful. We will never consistently act contrary to the most dominant beliefs about who we are. Man, this is rich. This is why Proverbs again says, Proverbs 4:23, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it flows the issues of life. Man, that's rich, guys. Guard your heart with all diligence, because out of it flows the issues of life. What he is asking us to do, Lord, help us, Jesus, please. I feel this, that the Lord, man, this is so good. Don't miss this, you guys. Some of us are having trouble right now because we are not guarding our interpretation of the events in our life. Some of us are having challenges right now because we are not guarding the interpretation of the experiences in our life. Because whatever meaning that we are attaching to our experiences is determining what we do with our mouths and what we do with our feet. Whatever meaning that we are attaching to the experiences that we are facing right now is dictating to us what we do with our mouths and what we do with our feet. So for some of us tonight, if you're going to get really connected and live out your most authentic self and live from the story that God has called you to, from the story that he has predestined even before the foundation of the world, you're going to have to guard your interpretation of your experiences. Man. And for some of us, we're going to have to go back and ask the Lord, what experiences have I attached to meaning that was not the meaning that you wanted me attached to it? What are those experiences in my life that I need to go back and reattach a new meaning? Man, Lord, help me, Holy Ghost. Because that meaning that I attach to that experience is determining what is showing up in my life right now. That may be the stronghold for some of you guys tonight that needs to be destroyed and be released and be prayed over is, Lord, give me a new interpretation. Give me a new interpretation. For some of us tonight, our expectation of what God can do and will do is tied to our interpretation of the experiences that we're having in the present and what has happened in the past. Man, I don't know what that's, I feel leaning into that tonight. Guarding our interpretation. Lord, give us a new interpretation. So, in the same manner that our brain pays attention to this information, so whatever we say to ourselves in words, pictures, and images, our brain hardwires our information, and it pays attention to that, and it hardwires that as beliefs, and then it goes to look for supportive evidence to reinforce those beliefs. Once it's reinforced those beliefs, once it's found the meanings, actually, let me say this. How does it choose the meaning to help us attach it? What is the material that he's using, that our brains rather is using to attach the meaning? The brain is using all the previous experiences, all the ways in which we have previously responded. It's using that data to help us attach the meaning to that present experiences. So it's going into our emotional Rolodex, if you will, and it's saying, hey, how has Pastor Terrell historically responded to this? And it's playing that tape. It's pulling that file and playing it and having that meaning be attached to the experience that you're facing. Now, once it's done all of this, and it's the meanings that we've attached to the experience have been reinforced as beliefs, once our brain has done that in a continuous fashion consistently, what it then goes to do is to hardwire it as a part of our identity. This is what it really gets, the rubber meets the road. It wants to hardwire the meanings that we have attached to our experiences as our identity. Oftentimes in my work with clients, what I'm working to do is to help them to disattach a behavior pattern, a way of thinking from their identity. Because for most of us, even for me from time to time, we can attach our behavior, our problem as a part of our identity. And that's the work of Satan. He wants to attach our behavior to our sense of identity. So what's the good news? Some people are like, man, what is the good news in this? In the same way that our brain takes words, pictures, and images and hardwires that information as beliefs and then goes to hardwired as a part of our identity. In the same way that it does that, we can use new information. We can use new information. This is why reading your Bible and biblical meditation is so important. It's just not for us to gain knowledge, but it is for us to reprogram our mind. This is why I love Romans. This is why I love Romans. This is why I love Romans. You guys already know where I'm going here, that we got access to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. By the renewing of our mind. So we need new information, and the only way that we get new information to think about, to meditate on, is if we read our word. I don't want to overlook this. This is why reading our word is so important, because it's just not about us living a morally good life. It's just not about us trying to stay away from sin or making sure that we're living righteously, which is important. But we need this new information in our heads, in our minds, to help us achieve what God has called us to do, so that we can bring glory to him. Pastor Terrell has already taught us that the Lord is glorified in us when we fulfill what he's called us to do. That the Lord is glorified when we fulfill what he has called us to do. So we need this new information. There is a part of our brain called the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system, it sits on the back part of our brain stem. And the whole entire purpose of the reticular activating system is to filter out anything that's not in alignment with what we are consistently focusing on. So the reticular activating system, God designed it, put on the bottom of our brain stem, and its whole entire job is to filter out anything that's not in alignment with what we are consistently focusing on. How does this apply to us? How does this apply to us? If any of you guys have ever been searching for a vehicle, right? You guys have been searching for your dream vehicle, right? And you went online, you've been searching for it for months, and all of a sudden you get on the road, and what do you see? What do you see? You see this car popping up, this truck popping up all over the place. Get this, the truck, the car, it's already been there. It's already been there, but your brain, because you have been consistently focusing on this, has filtered out anything that's not in alignment with this car. This is what God is wanting us to do tonight. He is wanting us to focus. This is why I think it's really important for us to write the vision for our life down and to consistently focus on it. Because when we start to consistently focus on and read the vision that God has given us, what happens is that we start to filter out our brains, not even us. Our brains start to do what it got designed it to do. It starts to filter out anything that's not in alignment with what we've been focusing on. This is why I believe the inner circle, that shameless plug here, while the inner circle is so important, because this group is focused together in pursuit of the same path. And when you have a community of people that are focused on the same path, it's hard to get distracted. It's hard to get distracted. So our stories, again, we can change our life by changing our story. Our stories have consequences. Whatever we say to ourselves in words, pictures, and images, our brain hardwires that information. So we have the capacity to change our story and change our life by inputting new information. By inputting new information and consistently focusing on that information, so that our brains can filter out anything that's not in alignment with who he's called us to be. The thing I love about our unique story, is that God has designed our story in such a way that he has pre-wired our pain, and our suffering in our stories to be used. I want you guys to catch that he has pre-wired our suffering. That's good to me. That he has pre-wired our suffering. He's pre-wired our pain. He's pre-wired our trauma. Yes, even our trauma, he has pre-wired all of that. Now, am I saying that God caused the trauma? No, but he did allow it because he knew it would serve his purposes for helping you to develop and cultivate and live out your story. He uses it all. As I often say to my clients, and even to myself sometimes, that the offense may not be your fault, but your healing is your responsibility. The offense may not be your fault, but your healing is your responsibility. They may have hurt you. They may have abused you. They may have betrayed you. They may have abandoned you. They may have rejected you. They may have disapproved of you, emotionally neglected you. That's not your fault. I want you to hear me to say that tonight. It's not your fault. But your healing is your responsibility. Your healing is your responsibility. Donald Miller, in his book, Hero on a Mission, he talks about these 4 different roles that we play in our life, or that are 4 primary characters in a story. The 4 primary characters in a story are the victim, the villain, the hero, and the God. The victim, the villain, the hero, and the God. The victim is the person that feels like they have no agency in their story. The victim is a person who feels like they have no agency in their story. The things cannot change. The villain is a person, or not necessarily a person, but the physical or invisible reality that is attempting to sabotage the hero. So some of our villains may be shame. Some of our villains may be fear. So our villains don't always come in the form of people that we can see. And the hero, oftentimes we get we get the hero confused. Many of us don't want to claim that we're the hero in our story, but God has made us the hero in our story. Many of us get that what a hero means to what a hero is. A hero is anything but capable. Most of the heroes that we see and we admire in our life, they are people who have been tattered with pain, with suffering, just like us. I love Donald Miller's definition. He says that a hero is nothing more than a victim going through a transformation process. That a hero is nothing more than a victim going through a transformation process. We are the hero in our stories. God has placed us as that because he wants to be glorified through our story. And the last part is the God. The gods are the people that help us get to where we need to go. The gods are the people that help us get to where we need to go. And then he goes on to say that 2 of these roles lead to our demise, which are the villain and the victim. The other 2 roles lead to our empowerment, the hero and the God. I wanted to invite you on tonight to start to play the hero in your story. You're not a person who does not have agency. This is why I believe one of the most profound gifts that God ever gave us was the ability to choose. People cannot choose the meaning of your experiences for you. They may do something to you, but they can never choose the meaning that you attach to the experience. That is only left up to you. This is why I love God, is that he knew and given us free will and given us the power to choose. Yes, we have used it sometimes not for our benefit, but ultimately having the power to choose is the thing that gives us what we need to create and live from a different story. To live from a different story. So again, you can change your life by changing your story. What do you need to change your story? You need to guard your interpretation of the events that have happened in your life, just not in the past. You need, probably, as all of us need to do some from time to time, is to go back and reattach a new meaning to a new experience. But from here on out, we need to guard our interpretation of our experiences, and we need to guard them looking through the eyes of faith, looking through what Scripture tells us, that God has already given us everything that pertains to life and godliness. He's given us everything that pertains to life and godliness. What is the implication of that? That everything that God has for you to do, He's already given to you. He's already given to you. He's already empowered you with it. So when there is a new experience that comes up in your life that is seeking to sabotage your future, your present, and it's attempting to discourage you, I want you to remember that God has given me everything that pertains to life and godliness. He has given me everything that pertains to life and godliness. All right, that's all I have for tonight. I don't want to go any further. Pastor Tavares, you can come back home, brother. I'm getting too excited. I'm getting too excited.
Oh my God.
Brother.
Dude, like seriously, man, I have 3 pages of notes. like seriously, man. This was beyond good. This is a on ESPN they have something called an instant classic. Like when there's a really good game,
right,
back and forth game, and it ends like dramatically. They say instant classic. They replay that thing right away, man. This is an instant classic in terms of the month of completion. This was amazing. All right, you got questions? Put your questions in the chat. We're gonna stay here another 15 or so minutes. But I want to just bring up a couple of things as people are putting their questions. You said there are people watching your life as an inspiration to take a chance. You said people need to see you finish. Man, Lord, brother, there are people watching your life as an inspiration to see and know if they can. Man, that right there, I was done right there. I could have just laid on the floor in the house. I remember when I was working on my book and it wasn't finished, but I had told my sons that I was going to write a book. And every now and then, one of my sons would ask me, "Is the book finished? Is the book finished?" And I could see as time passed on that the book not being finished was kind of impacting them. And I can kind of pick it up in the spirit. And when I finished, man, we opened the boxes got here. They all lit up. And, like, my God, they like, thank God, like the books are here, they playing with them and stuff. And man, you are so right. And I want to say to everyone tonight, listen, like I told you, we're going to infuse you with something tonight, some power, some strength, some energy. Why do you have to finish? Because somebody's watching you. Man, that was rich, man. You said something else too about that how our brains are wired by words, pictures, and images. What do you think from a clinical perspective? What do you think it does to our brains when we constantly, continually just don't finish stuff. Does that how might that impact us?
So our brains, we have, many people may have heard what we call these neurons and synapses. And you may have heard how the brain has neural pathways. And so when we have a thought, our in our brain, if you could see like the image of the brain, there is this separation in between, like as a thought is coming through this kind of neural pathway, it is to before next to the synapses. This is how habits are formed. So when we consistently are taking action, what happens is that our brains develop this, instead of being the separation, it develops this bridge where we automatically, because we've built the habit, our brains, we unconsciously take the action. So for some of us who have built a habit of exercising in the morning or exercising, it would be almost impossible to have us stop doing that because we built it in our identity. We've built that habit and that neural pathway in our head. So what happens is when we consistently stop or do not finish what we have started, our brains, let me say it more clearly, our brains stop to trust. Our brain undermines our attempt because it doesn't have the confidence that we will finish. So I want to use a very clear example. So one of the and I've had to work on this myself, so I want you guys to hear me so I can use my own personal story, is that when we don't finish, when we start but don't finish, our brains it's crazy, not just our brains, but the way we lose respect for ourselves. We lose respect for ourselves.
Whoa.
It's almost like we develop this belief of distrust that we can finish. So this is why every year I get excited about the month of completion for two reasons. One, because I love you and I love doing anything that you want to be a part of, anything that you're doing. But two, it gives people a chance to create a new neural pathway, a new rhythm of life. So when we're starting at the beginning of August 1st and we finish that thing on August 31st, what happens is that it just doesn't stop there, T. Our brain goes to work to think about what other things that we have left unfinished to go and complete, because we've built a new pattern. This is why monthly completion is so important.
Man, you said it gives us the opportunity to create neural pathways, create new neural pathways that help to finish. Man, that is, man. Oh my God. Listen, you all, I'm going to say this, and I know we got some questions, but we're going to be off here in the next 10 minutes. And so, just like we got to bring Pastor Marshall back. I don't know I'll see what James' schedule is, but man, that is heavy. So I heard someone say this weekend, I was at a conference, and this is actually Pastor Charlie Dates. He said, pastor from Chicago, for those that may not know him, but he said that he never concerns himself. He somebody asked the question, like, when you see other people who are going ahead of you, like in life, in ministry, or when you see other people, like, he was called to pastor. And they said, when you see other people younger than you, perhaps less gifted than you, maybe less educated than you, but they're going on and they're doing what God has called them to do. They're experiencing their dreams, and you were not. They was like, how did you handle that? And man, this connects so well, because what he said was, he said he worried about the depth of his life and let God worry about the width.
Wow, that's good.
That's good, because if you keep worrying about finishing, getting better, completing the depth of your life every day. So every day I tell you what I do. Every day, James. Every day. This is a new habit for me. Every day I make up my bed.
Man, that's good.
First thing I do in the morning is fix something I broke. Like, and I never go without it. Like, so I can come home. Like, that's my first accomplishment of the day. And it becomes a habit. Like, I can't even leave the house. Like, people can't leave their house without their cell phone. I can't leave my house without fixing something that I know I messed up. And so this digging deeper, man, this digging deeper, this, like you said, man, opportunity to create just a new mindset, man. That, James, okay, I'm gonna try to grab one of y'all questions, but I ain't making no promises. I got some good questions, and I want to end in 9 minutes. So, let me see. And here's the funny thing about, so let me say this too. Now you said shameless plug earlier. I'm gonna not be ashamed to plug that. So one of my burdens and passions is to see praying people actually experience answers to their prayers. And what I have discovered is that a lot of people know how to talk the talk when it comes to prayer, but they don't know how to walk the walk. And so I said to myself, what can I do to help God's people? What can I do to help me? And so I started an inner circle where we work on being who God has called you to be, doing what God has called you to do, having what God wants you to have, giving what God wants you to give. And the funny thing about it is James is the therapist for our inner circle, and Pastor Sean is one of the teachers for our inner circle. And so, like, next year, y'all need to put that, like he said, the car thing you start, and that's so true. Like, I have that's true. You start looking at a car, you see it everywhere. You buy a new car, you see it everywhere because it's on your mind. Y'all need to write somewhere like Devoche. Like, in 2023, I will be in the inner circle.
Do it, girl.
Like, I remember writing down, James. Like, and this was for me, this was interesting because I come from deep poverty.
Yeah.
And I remember writing down that I would make 6 figures. And dude, when I tell you, I kind of want to share something else. I asked the Lord, can I make 6 figures outside of my job? Like, outside of my 9 to 5.
Come on, Jesus.
And I'm telling you, when you write stuff down, when you make it a goal, like, and
Lord,
I'm telling you, it can happen for you. I'm grabbing one question, and then I'm gonna let us all go. All right. And again, some of you all, I have a waiting list, cterrellweek.com, for the inner circle. And then when we start opening back up next year, it opens up at the beginning of the year and it closes. It's like a month probably, or 6 weeks that we kind of open it and close it. So let me ask this. Let me get this one question, and then I'll let you try to tackle this as best you can in the time.
Okay.
All right. Here's the question. Please share about the imposter syndrome. And one who strives to achieve things. When I do, I just keep it between me and God. But I know a lot, but people don't really know. All right. Imposter syndrome. You talk about that a little bit?
Yes, man, imposter syndrome, finds its roots in shame. And
Mm.
shame, again, if people don't know, shame runs two tapes in our heads. One, it runs that I am not enough. And if we get over that tape, it runs the second tape, which is um, I don't have what it takes. So either one, I am not enough, or two, I don't have what it takes. Um, Oftentimes, one of the as relates to imposter syndrome, the and this goes back to what I was saying before about how these first 18 years of our life, right, that our beliefs about who we are, about money, about success, about failure are being created for us, but not by us.
Mm.
Most of us don't realize that most of what we are living off are not values that we created for ourselves. They were
Oh,
values that they were created for us. They were implanted in us. And we're sitting here today operating off of those deeply held unconscious beliefs that are holding us back. Because again, that imposter syndrome, that inner bully, if you will, its whole entire job is to sabotage. Um, it let me say it more specifically. It it works its way more clearly in stories and narratives. This is why I think like the imposter syndrome is like it is such a big challenge for um, a lot of people because it laces, get this, the negative stuff that we say to ourselves, it laces our story with it. So it laces bits and pieces of our narrative that we've already lived through. So we can't deny it. We can't deny it, right? For a person that says who's wanted to manage their money better, right? But your imposter syndrome is taking advantage of you because you got your car repoed in 2006. That's
mm.
a very real fact. You can't deny that I got my car repossessed in 2005 because I didn't manage my money well. So it's using a piece of your narrative and the meaning, there it goes again, the meaning that you've attached to the experience to sabotage you in the present moment. So one of the things that I get happy about sometimes, and I say this to myself in my mind, I've been training myself probably rather regularly, is that when those thoughts of what I cannot do show up in my head, sometimes I literally start to laugh because I know that what God has said about me is the opposite. So if he says I can't do this, if I if I can't get this, guys, I'm just sharing my goals. If I can't, you're not gonna be able to run a multi-million dollar practice serving black men and black boys. That's unheard of. Black people, black men ain't even going to therapy. I don't believe it. I say, all right, Lord, I see what you're unfolding. I look, I start to create vision from what the enemy is telling me that I can't do. Whoever thought about that? That some of the vision that the Lord is giving you is coming straight from the enemy's mouth of what he's telling you can't do. All right, I ain't gonna go two more. That is
All right. So I don't know what this to say. Listen, y'all. This is it. We're about to jump off of here. We gotta give it 5 o'clock in the morning for prayer. This
right.
was I don't know. So James, how I saw a question earlier, like somebody says they need therapy. How could they get a hold of you?
If you visit jamesperkins.help, jamesperkins.help, you can schedule a consult. If you want to just book me, you can go straight to my website and book an appointment. If you want a free consultation just to tell me more about your story and all that, jamesperkins.help, you can schedule a consultation. It's free. And and go from there. But I look forward to supporting you on your journey.
Oh my goodness. So jamesperkins.help. If you want to get a free consultation, if you want to book them, just go to the website.
Yep, jamesperkins.help. And if you need to reach out to me, just use that too, james@jamesperkins.help. Either one will be sufficient.
Man, this was amazing, man. That's all I really have to say. People are saying part two. Part two will be in the inner circle. How about that? So if you are interested in signing up for next year, because we only open up once a year,
right.
Go to cterrellweed.com and sign up to be notified. And we always let the people who sign up to be notified, we tell them first, and then we kind of cap the number of people that we let in. So, man, I can't thank you enough for this. This is mind blowing. This was an instant classic, and I'm going to replay this again on a platform a bunch of times. But next year, each guest needs 2 days. I just told y'all can find a guest at.
Right.
But good night, you all. I'm not going to take any more time. Y'all share this with somebody that needs it. If y'all don't share this with a friend or somebody, just watch this.
Right.
Like, y'all wrong. Like, y'all need to be like, okay, I can understand not sharing in the beginning because you don't know what it is. You kind of sharing by faith. Mm-hmm. But when you know something is good, you ain't sharing by faith. Right. You know that this thing was fire. You should tell your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your homie, say, hey, jump and check this out. And I'm not doing it for numbers. I'm not doing it for that. I want to see people blessed. All right, join us tomorrow, day 22, coming into the stretch run of month completion. You all have been amazing this month. Let's keep it up. Let's keep going. Love you all. God bless.